What's up guys, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be making a full review for the Romancing Festival Goddess banner that brings Goddess, a tank counter, and Noel, a tank counter. Wait, what? Yeah, but he's also a healer, and in black, a multi-hit attacker. So we're gonna start talking about Goddess since she gives the name to the banner, but I do believe that Noel is the most interesting character. But look, she has 88% endurance and 100% will. I have seen higher numbers for counter tankers, and she has 110% agility and 120% intelligence, because those are values that will affect her accuracy, hence why she has high. She also has very high charisma, so that she has good self-healings. She can inherit heal spells from some of her passive styles, so, well, love could be higher. Moving on for passes, we have Heavenly Realm 2. Start off a turn, she grants herself Morale Up and Guard Up, medium effect that is 25% for both, and she recovers 2 BP. That's actually an improvement over the past passive she had in other styles that was just giving 1 BP. Now it's 2. Then we have Flash of Revelation 2. Starts the fight with 12 BP, and when landing a weak attack, she will recover HP around 250 and also 1 BP. So she needs to land weak attacks. Strangely enough, many of the recent characters that land weak attacks to recover BP recover 2 instead of 1. Then the third one is Arts Finis. She increases damage by 30% and reduces damage taken by 30%. Pretty simple, straightforward character, right? Skill number 1 is called Illusory Light Blade. It's a single target attack for free that has both Slash and Sun elements, and she buffs her intelligence by 25% on max level. That's very nice. It's a free attack so that she does not use Punch, because Punch is actually based on STR and agility. This will be based on intelligence, and she will self-buff. Very nice with a character like this. The second skill is called Four Warriors. It's a full AoE attack with APP cost, slashing hit damage, and B power. The good thing about this skill is that you can use it 3 times in a row with any formation as long as you are hitting the weak target. But it should be, because if you are bringing her, it will be for the element that you need. So 3 times in a row. For story farming on events, she's gonna need help because the damage is pretty limited. Then skill number 3 is called Thousand Blade Master Movement. This is an indirect single target attack that is slash and hit again, that has double S power and 10 BP cost. Okay, by itself, it seems to be costly, right? Because it does have an additional effect. She enters a defensive counter stance. That means that she still takes damage, although reduced, and she counter attacks with Master Moon Fury. That's a node skill. Well, Master Moon Fury, it's double S power, slash and hit. So as you can see, although her first skill has Slash and Sun, she's mostly just Slash and hit. And you're going to bring her for counter strategies where the enemy is weak to Slash or hit. So, counter attacks with double S power seems to be a little lacking, right? When you look on the current characters that we got with counter, well, we got Farneos that counters with double S power, but he can even counter 3 times, right? With his Deep Sea Drop. Well, another recent style that has counter is Bertrand. Well, Bertrand has also counter with double S power that comes in the face of Dominant Blades. It is not a guarantee, but he has so many layers of self-buffs that actually makes sense. And he is also a full damage dealer when not countering. Look on Final Emperor, a character that has not even been so great, but can solo some very specific content. It goes with a triple S attack and counters with a 4S attack. So I believe that when you look on what Goddess has, she seems to be a little lacking on the skill set. That's right. But okay, Master Moon Fury is slash and hit. She competes with slash counters. We haven't seen so many of them recently, but I don't know. When talking about slash counter attackers, I think we have some old ones. We need newers. But there is the second Global X Serpina that can counter single target with Falling Petals, that attacks with S power, then enters an evasive counter that fully evades, and she counters with double S, and she can actually get 2 BP by counter. And besides her, we still have Sekisushai. That is a strong one as well. He counters with Slash and Lightning. By use of his Disarm, he can counter with this skill. And then he also has a counter on Overdrive. Then there is also Khalid that actually becomes super strong if he counters many times via Lunar Slash that comes from a Platinum style. And then we have Gen that has a counter via either Club or Great Swords, and he can inherit this attack called Apathy. That is also an evasive counter, counters with triple S power, and you can even use his Platinum style or the premium one that uses clubs. So there's plenty of competition for Slash, although they are a little older, but I just think that there is enough options. Now for heat counters, we have Bertrand mostly, and well, Global X Bertrand is the best one, of course. He counters via his Twin Goldfish attack, that is S power, gives him attack boost, defense boost, he already gets more buffs by attacking. And you also have his School style that counters with Dominant Blaze. A Dominant Blaze is an SS power attack, as you can see, heat and shadow. Well, Bertrand is better than Goddess as well. And we can't forget about Rag Robin, that has a very different way to counter. Well, he taunts via Steel Blade Phoenix and counter with a B power attack that is Roll, Slash, and Blunt. And there's still Chef Polka that can counter. Well, he has a counter with heat attack that triggers every type of attack, but he can also counter via Rising Kuroge Wagyu on overdrive. So, actually, depending on the turn, he's gonna do plenty of damage. I must say that Goddess kit, like I said, it's not as interesting. So as a counter unit, I think that Goddess doesn't offer enough. She's not a next step, she's very similar to other characters and even inferior most of the time, so it's not really great. And for Inheritance, she does have some options coming from other styles like Heart of Goddess, that is a fast 4LP skill that recovers, revives, and cleanses from ailments. That's actually very nice, but I guess she can use this in other styles. And there is also this Haveline Melody that gives morale down and guard up small, but it breaks the idea of the character because this character wants to use BP to counter. So the other styles are already designed around using these skills in a better way. The only improvement I can see is if you have the style that gets the shield, this one here. This style has access to Light of Dawn, that is support and fast, that grants a shield versus shadow damage, and she also applies Regen by the end of turn for 3 turns. Well, the current one has better BP generation, but in the end, well, there's no problem when using the old one with that shield. So this Goddess is just an okay character, nothing very good, and she only receives a plain SS grade in the tier list. If you are a fan of the character, it's okay to pull, but I don't think she is good enough for those that are after different or strong mechanics. Well, Goddess has a new style on JP, released it together with Anya's Summer style, and she has a strange design where she wants to get BP with skill number 1 in order to use skill number 3 that has 17 BP cost and attacks between 4 to 7 times and has chances to apply damage block on each hit. She has a guaranteed chase once per battle and gets 4 damage blocks. Her endurance is not that great, and she has okay damage and defenses, but nothing stellar. I just hope that they change this for global. The next character is Noel, and well, Noel is a better slash counter, and he has 111 STR, that's okay, and endurance is 112 and 110% will. Very good values, Noel, but he takes a hit on agility being only 82%, but this really does not matter. We have 55% love and charisma because he can self-heal. Moving on for passives, the first one is called Oath of Accord. At the start of turn, if everyone is alive, he grants himself a guard up large that decreases damage taken by 35%, and if one ally is dead or LP is 0, he gets instead a 40% guard up. Well, barely changes, and he will start taunting if someone dies. Also, interesting if you want to solo content with him and bring trash units, but we'll talk more about that later. When he is attacked, he also recovers BP by 1 and grants himself this Life Drain seal. This is something that we'll be discussing in a while. Second one, Elemental Heal. By the end of turn, he recovers HP by around 220, and on odd turns, he gets 2 BP. And on even turns, he buffs STR, Endurance, and Will by 15%. So on average, this guy has 4 BP and gets more BP by being attacked. And the last passive is Arm Wall Defense 7, where he decreases damage taken by 50% at all times. Besides that guard up, so he is already pretty defensive. Now, skill number 1 is called Life Drain Sword. It's a single target attack with slash and shadow damage that recovers HP by around 220 on current game and buffs his endurance and will by up to 25% on max level. the power of the attack is D, and it costs just 2 BP, so you can use this whenever you want, since he gets at least 4 BP per turn if he is not attacking. If he is, he gets much more, so it's a pretty cheap way to just keep yourself alive. And well, Life Drain Sword is the same skill that you will be using when you have this Life Drain Seal, but I'll be discussing this in a few. The second skill is called Darkness Night. It's a fast single target attack with Slash and Shadow again, that grants the user a defensive cover that has a 50% chance to cover one random ally when that ally is being attacked. The attack itself has only C power, it's just so that you can actually cast this before the enemy attack, and then you have this effect that can protect someone in the party. Well, I guess it only really helps if it's a boss that has multiple single target attacks, but if it does, you'll probably be using your Noel in a formation that already draws more enemy attacks, while it can be used in the middle of your Guard Focus. It can also be used in the middle of Rising Phoenix EX or some other formations, and that already draws a lot of attacks towards Noel. Then we have skill number 3 called Gloom Dancing Blade. It's a single target attack with Slash and Shadow damage that recover all surviving allies' HP by a small effect. That's right, that's exactly like Steel Blade Light from Mirsa. There's another big difference between Gloom Dancing Blade and Steel Blade Light or Steel Blade Phoenix. Well, here we are using a 14 BP attack with 4S damage, while Steel Blade Light and Steel Blade Phoenix have only triple S power. But sometimes you may prefer to have a lower power but a reduced BP cost if you really want the heal and not the damage. Remember, well, Mirsa has that since his premium style, and he can even use it with his newest one, alongside lots of different buffs that he can apply, and well, this is actually the best way to heal in the game. Steel Blade Light, in my opinion, is the best way to heal with the newest Mirsa. Then we have also Polka, that can do it via his Chef style or his Rag Robin style. The healing effect will be similar. I do believe that you can also mention Muse, because she can also heal anytime. Well, she has no limit. All other healers have some sort of limit towards them, but in the end, the problem with Noel is the cost of the BP, because it's 14 where all options are 10 or 9. But why is it 14? Because this carries this Life Drain Seal that you get 2 stacks. And now it's finally time to discuss this passive. Well, you remember that when you get hit, you also get this, right? That's right. So you can actually start the fight with your Life Drain Sword or with a normal attack, and then on the second turn you will use Gloom Dancing Blade. That's okay, so you heal everyone. This does not have delay like Polka and Mirsa, that's also important. And then you grant yourself 2 of these Life Drain Seals. How does that actually work? Well, Life Drain Seal is a passive that will be attached towards Noel for as many stacks you get, and in the next turn, you will try to trigger Life Drain Sword with 50%. So, he got 2 passives and got hit 3 times. As an example, you will have 5 stacks of Life Drain Seal on the end of turn 2. Then on turn 3, you're going to attack, right? The game will try to proc Life Drain Sword 5 times with a 50% chance. So, it's nice because it buffs Endurance and Will, so that you will have very good defenses versus enemies, and that can lead him to solo some content. But it's a 50% chance. 5 triggers or 0 triggers, or 2 triggers on average, or 3. That means that it's not totally reliable. And when you use it on Chase, it will only buff Endurance and Will by 15%. It's not a bad value if you counter many times, you keep stacking. I can say that this is kind of similar in a way to what you get with, well, Strumnikin. Strumnikin can also just get STR, Endurance, and Will. Well, Noel gets only End and Will when he is chasing, but he gets STR via passive. And you know that Strumnikin can solo content, right? Because he can heal as well, something that Noel will be able to. And then we also have the Halloween Human Mayor that buffs his status when he gets hit, and even by a very high number, 20%. Noel, in some scenarios, will actually get hit 2 times in a battle. in enemies that attack 2 times or 3 times. Let's say that it has some single target attacks, some AoEs. Let's make an average of 2 times. If he gets attacked 2 times, then he will actually generate 6 BP per turn. And then he needs 14. If you bring him to a boss fight that attacks usually 3 to 4 times, and Noel will get hit at least 3 times, then he will generate an average of 7 BP. If he does that, that's okay, because he will be able to use his Bloom Dancing Blade every 2 turns. In that point, he is as good as Mirsa as a healer, of course, but Mirsa has more things going for him. He can buff, attack, boost, defense boost via his action switch. That's a very strong effect that he has. So, I believe that sometimes, depending on if an enemy has very high intelligence or STR for damage, Noel can actually be very good. It's something that will work in some boss fights, especially now they're attacking more often, but it's not as reliable as either Mirsa or Chef Polka or even Muse when used as a healer. Now, Noel has some interesting inheritance. From his latest style, you can get Autumn Slash that buffs his STR by 30% for free. You could use it instead of buffing Endurance and Will if you do not need it that much and you are getting already enough via his chase attacks. I can stack for a lot of buffs depending on number of enemy attacks. And there is also Air Dance Slash, that is an attack that can self-heal. You think that you actually need more heals than more Endurance and Will. This heals for at least 1.2 thousand for just 6 PP, exactly okay. And he has Zanshin from his first style, and this one is an evasive counter for just 6 BP. That counters with Cyclone Kick. That's actually a pretty weak attack in my opinion. So I guess if you want to use him as a counter, it works. It's just not the best type of counter we have. But this character here will be strong for the future content. But now, all that we were discussing about Noel was as him as a unit that would be used in any type of squad. But we need to discuss him when used on Saruin squad, because he actually works super well in those squads, because Saruin actually gives 50% shadow damage, all skills from Noel has shadow element, and 1 BP recover on every shadow attack. That's something very nice that will keep Saruin relevant for a while. But now, how does that change how Noel performs? It changes a lot, because, well, now, when he attacks, he gets 1 extra BP, and that will actually make Life Drain Sword cost just 1 BP, fixing his cycle. And Bloom Dancing Blade will feel cheaper as well. But the most important thing is that when he triggers his Life Drain Seal, he will actually recover 1 BP per hit. I know, it's just 50% chance to chase, but if he gets attacked way too many times, you actually have a fair chance of getting some extra BP that will allow Bloom Dancing Blade to always be used every 2 turns. And that will get him very close to the potential of Mirsa, Polka, and Muse overall as a healer. Actually, Noel can beat Mirsa sometimes. Well, Mirsa has many different builds. You can use him for his skill number 3, Silverlight Fangs, and try to trigger the chase attack, Silverlight Dance, but you can also use him via Steel Blade Light. Well, Noel can beat the Steel Blade Light cycle of Mirsa, so similar healing, but more damage. The good thing about Mirsa though is that now that he's much tankier, Steel Blade Light uses Taunt, and that Taunt actually benefits the party since Mirsa does not take much damage. Mirsa also negates Shadow. But overall, by the number of chase attacks, Noel will do more damage than this build of Mirsa. But sometimes we use Mirsa with just left fork for full damage, and with left fork and his added chance to heal, he may not be a main healer, but sometimes it's just enough, and in those cases, Noel will never beat Mirsa as a full offensive unit. But as a healer and secondary damage dealer, yes, Noel can beat Mirsa via Saruin squads. But without Saruin squads, we still have some problems with BP generation if the enemy does not attack you as much. It seems to be a general sentiment that Noel is much better in Saruin squads, and many people are recommending getting him only if you have Saruin. I do believe that he works as he is, especially for new players, But for veterans, they can decide to skip him if they are already happy with Mirsa, for example. But even then, I see potential on Noel because of Remembrance performance being very, very good. One thing I got from feedback is that sometimes when he does not trigger too many life drain words, he was not building up so much endurance and will to protect himself versus some ailments. So you needed some restarts in order to get the good RNG in order to protect yourself and not get inflicted with ailments. But I guess that with good RNG, he will be able to solo some boss fights. But something I got from feedback from players is that when used similarly to how Galahad and Bertrand works, his steel is not as strong because they have defense boosts. Defense boost cannot be removed by a boss, and many bosses will now start trying to remove your buffs. And if he fails to chase many times, he will not build enough endurance and will to protect himself. Also, even when you consider his endurance and will buffs, if he does not trigger it enough, he only will trigger this via chase and via one skill every 2 turns, he may still get inflicted from enemies if you are not building a squad that has will buffers. As a solo character, he may fail. As a party member, I don't think so. He will have enough endurance and will anytime if you are bringing a main and sometimes even a secondary endurance or will buffer. And if you are lacking a healer that can heal without any limit, like Polka, Mirsa, and Muse, well, Noel can serve you well. He's not OP in my opinion because he cannot beat Polka and Mirsa, so he's gonna receive a triple S grade, but we'll keep an eye on this character. If you don't agree with my grade, please say here on the comment section and we'll check if this character is better than we expect. So far, via feedback from the community, they say that he is good, but they were expecting more. Like if his chase was guaranteed, that would be much, much better. Noel has a new style on JP released recently where he's a type of reverse tank. When people in the party are attacked, he gets attack boost. He also always chases with an attack that can debuff STR by 25%. He has an extra triple S attack on overdrive, and he can also charge his overdrive gauge 2 times. And his skill number 3 is pretty powerful. A power attack, then he uses morale up extremely to increase damage by 50% and uses the same attack that he uses on overdrive with triple S power. Well, very strong damage for just 10 BP. But, well, we'll see when he gets added to global. Now the last character is M Black, and we have 117 STR alongside 100% endurance and 94% will. Those are actually pretty good values for someone that just wants to be a damage dealer with some support. His agility is actually pretty bad, but it does not really affect his performance. Moving on, the first passive is called Detox Heal Program. By the end of a turn, he will cleanse all status ailments. That's nice, because if he's getting inflicted with ailments like Confusion or Charm, he's gonna kill his party of friends. And when attacking, he recovers himself and one random ally HP by around 220 and BP. So this can lead into healing someone and then giving BP to another. It's a way to generate BP, but since it's just 1 BP to a random person, you may not give it to who actually needs. Now, passive number 3, it's G-Sword Finesse, increasing damage by 30% and reducing damage taken by 30%. Well, only 30% damage potential, but at least he has a damage reduction. Now, we need to discuss passive number 2, because this is where he shines. Moonface gives himself New Moon on start of battle. Then on turn 2, he gets Crescent, turn 3 and beyond, Full Moon, turn 4 and beyond, Dark Moon. Those are 4 different chase attacks that have chances to trigger, and you get a new one every turn up to turn 4. Well, the first chase, New Moon, has a 50% chance to trigger Moon's Lash Plus. That is an AoE attack with C-Palm. The second, called Crescent, has a 37% chance to trigger Moon Scrapper on turn 2 and beyond. That is an 8-power AoE attack that has defense down effect that increases defense by 15% and lasts for 3 turns. From turn 3 and beyond, we have Full Moon that has a 50% chance to trigger his Crescent Moon Slash. That is an AoE attack with deep power that buffs STR by 20%. Then on turn 4 and beyond, Dark Moon has a 25% chance to trigger Moon Raise Ripper. Moon Raise Ripper is an AoE attack with a power again, and it buffs STR and endurance by 30%. That's right. So we have 4 different changes. 2 have 50% chance to trigger, 1 has 37%, the other one has 25%. Well, on average, you get at least 1 counter, I believe. But you can get 2, 3, or 4. The problems with M Black design comes with his power being actually based on AoE damage. That's why it's not that big. C power, A power, D power, they are not so good as we could have been if he was single target based. But since he wants to be used when there are multiple enemies, the damage of the chain's attacks got a little limited. And, well, at least he does offer some utility like self-buffs and applying defense down here and there. So, from turn 4 and beyond, I could say that on average you get at least 1 chase. But it can be 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's all about RNG, you never know. But let's talk about the bad things about this all. Since he is actually an AoE chaser, the damage of his chase attacks are actually lower than expected. Okay, A power, C power, D power, is that too strong? Not exactly. And since he is just slash besides just one of his attacks, it also restricts him a little. Well, he will be competing with someone that is, whoa, way too strong. Sumir. And Sumir has exceptional damage by use of her chases, and she can chase 4 times with a guarantee, and her attack is S power. Imagine 4 chases with S power, while she can also self-buff. But he's also someone that will lose all the time versus Medea. She has even better chases in my opinion. The second one, Plume Blossom Whirlwind, with 37% chance to trigger, will apply Moral Letal Medium, decreasing damage taken by 25%. And the other attacks, one with 50% chance and the other one with 25% chance, will give STR and intelligence debuffs. So, well, those are very important values in the current game now that bosses want you to debuff, then even if they remove debuffs on the same turn, you still need to apply debuffs to survive. So if you have Medea, you barely have a reason to use M Black. And even if you don't have Medea, I suppose you should wait for Medea rerun and get her instead of pursuing M Black. But if you like M Black because he looks like a fun character to use, he's a robot and a samurai, of course, pull for the guy. He's gonna be fun to use with so many different chases. He can either be mediocre or a very strong attacker that can help you in tough challenges. But by being slash and lower power, I don't think he is that strong as he could have been if he was more focused. But before we talk about his chases, let's talk about his normal skills. Recent Moon Slash is a 3BP full AoE attack that buffs STR by 30% and has deep power. Not that strong, but it at least buffs STR. The second one, Sweeping Slash, it's a column attack with slash damage and 8 power. It can be used 3 times in a row if you want, for farming. Should be enough for story, but not for events. And then there is Moon Haze Ripper, that is a full AoE attack with 10 BP cost and 8 power, that buffs his STR and endurance by 40% on max level. This is actually his best attack to be using, I guess, because it will just buff both STR and endurance. And you may want to use him on boss fights that uses more physical attacks than magical attacks. Although his wheel is not bad, he can be used anywhere, but since he buffs endurance, let's bring him to physical fights. And then after using Moon Haze Ripper, you can actually use recent Moon Slash, whatever you want. So, a cycle of at least buffing STR every turn so that he gets stronger and stronger. And now that we know about his chases, let's discuss his utility, because every time that he's attacking, he will self-heal. That will allow him to be always on high HP, and he will also give himself 1 BP and 1 extra BP to a random surviving ally. Can be used as a mini BP battery. Well, I don't think that's good enough, since he will be giving this to random people. Sometimes it's someone that it's not needing that extra BP. Well, at least it helps. Now, if you're getting lots of BP, you will also be trying to use Moon Haze Ripper more often than Crescent Moon Slash, so that he actually buffs STR and endurance by higher values. Eventually, with so many STR buffs, either from his active skills or from his chases, he will start doing plenty of damage in a fight. I still don't think he beats Medea overall, because Medea brings more utility, and that Morale down medium really makes a difference. It's more important than just doing a little extra damage with a passage of turns. Now, as for inheritance, he actually does not need any, but if you have this M-Black 3 style that got released alongside Eagle Mode, well, Swallow Reversal, it's pretty cool because it's a triple S attack and it can apply defense down. If there's just one enemy, he will do more damage than using his other AoE options. All the other inheritance are not that good, since it's either trying to debuff or use weaker attacks overall. So, at least he is a character that will work from the get-go. If you get him, he's just gonna do damage, but relies too much on RNG to be reliable. But strong enough to guarantee a triple S grade in our tier list, but is still pretty easy to skip. Future characters with chase attacks will be more reliable than M-Black. He also does not have any future style, so at least right now this is the end of the character. Now, back to the banner image. Is this banner worth summoning for? In my opinion, yes, but also no. I'll give it a silver award. If you do not have Polka or Mirsa or Muse as healers that can heal anytime, you should go for Noel. If you are a new player, it will give you good value. But if you already have those three options and you are happy with them, you can actually skip Noel and wait for the next generation that will come after half anniversary. Goddess is a counter tank that works, but has nothing special about her. She loses to Bertrand in any of his two styles. And M-Black is a multi-attacker that actually loses to Medea that offers much more. So having Medea makes no much sense to summon for M-Black. So, people with M-Black, Polka, Mirsa, and Muse can actually skip this banner and wait for future characters. People with all those options will benefit more from this banner. With all that said, this is my opinion. What is yours? Please see here in the comments. I will be skipping because I don't have enough gems, but I will actually love to play with Noel in some hard challenges. But you cannot summon for every single character, right? But thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and if you want to support the channel, there are links in the description. We have a Patreon service and membership system on YouTube. Thank you so much. I hope to see you soon in the next video or live stream. Bye.